Alrighty, None, we're gonna do something different today.
Yeah, what are we doing? I don't even know.
We're gonna do a video where we're gonna speak Swedish the whole video.
We're going to speak Swedish.
Yes, so vi kan börja nu va?
Hensjana.
Hönshjärna, what's that?
It means, how are you doing?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool. So you say hönshjärna to people and it's like, hey,
yeah,
how's it
when
going?
you see people you like, you're like, hey, hensjana.
So, Nun, we usually talk a lot about positivity, and sometimes it's good to be negative, especially when it comes to the virus.
True.
And let's dive into a little bit of history here, Nun, because I know you, but other people don't know you. So I'm curious about you growing up. Can you tell me the first memories you remember as a child?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I was really into soccer, and that was like my favorite thing to do, you know. And I would say one of my memories is me playing on the field, soccer, and kicking the ball. And that is something that I really loved as a child, you know. So that's one of my first memories.
And obviously that was fun for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you any good?
I mean, I was really into goalkeeping. You know, that was my thing. So I don't know if that's considered good at soccer.
So is that like maybe something that might come up later on in your life, that you play the defensive role instead of the aggressive role, that you like to protect? You're waiting for the ball to come to you and you protect instead.
Oh, that's getting a bit deep, Michael.
Yeah, we're gonna dive deep into this.
Interesting.
We're gonna do psychoanalysis as we go. So you were mainly focused on being the goalkeeper, and you played with your dad.
Yeah, memories of that, and back then it was like really, really fun thinking about these memories. And there were memories of my dad and I playing video games together and doing all that sort of thing.
And what sort of video games was that back in
Well,
the
back
days?
then there was the Super Nintendo, right?
Oh, the Super Nintendo. Wow.
Games such as I think it's called Ghosts and Ghouls or something.
Okay.
Ghosts and Ghouls, the Donkey Kong adventures thing.
Nice.
And I think we played Mortal Kombat too.
Oh.
Back then, you know, on the Super Nintendo.
I think many people have fond memories of the Super Nintendo. It was quite a upgrade from the 8-bit Nintendo. Coming from the 8-bit Nintendo, the Super Nintendo was like, wow, this is mind-blowing stuff. And I think they had adapters, you could be 4 players as well. So moving on through the memories here, so you played games with your dad, both simulated games and in real life. What else can you remember from growing up?
Well, growing up, I was quite, as a child, I was quite, what's the word? Wasn't rebellious, but I did things that was quite bad, as in, I used to be quite angry growing up as a child. And out of anger, you do things that you regret, or things that you shouldn't have done.
So what was a few of those things you did when you went on the rampage?
It was more to do with yelling and shouting, and it was really crazy because ever since I was young, for some reason, I had the anger where when you become angry, right, people start yelling and throwing things at that level, right? But for me, it's more like when I get angry, I would, in a way, harm myself.
In what way?
Like either hitting yourself or
Biting yourself?
things like that, scratching yourself,
Oh.
things like that, and I did things like, I remember one time when I was younger, I was in the bathtub and I got angry about something and I splashed all the water out everywhere, and then I told my parents, they're like, they gotta clean that up, and then I felt bad, and then I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yes, I was younger and I was quite angry, but because of that awareness, I would always have that, right? Every time I get angry, I always think of the consequence. And
After.
yeah, but then after I got older and I saw that more. It's like, let's say you learn to play the guitar, right? And you play the wrong note. You have to know you played the wrong note to change it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're just playing the guitar thinking that you're right, then you're never gonna be like, oh, I'm not even playing music, you know? So you have to be aware, okay, this is the wrong note, this is the consequence, how do I fix that? And I think that's what I started to do as I grew older.
So what would make you angry?
Just anything really. Like back then, I would, like, for example, easily get offended, or when things don't go my way, or things I want I don't get, that sort of thing. So I guess it was like really me mentality growing up.
I mean, that's how it is being a child. Usually, you are a bit of a shit and a bit of a narcissist, and everything is about you. And then you discover, like, oh, there's other people too, and they have feelings, and you sort of learn as you go. So you got frustrated because you couldn't get things.
Yeah, things of that nature. Or
Was it ever to avoid things?
avoid things in what way?
For example, going to school, having a shower, cleaning your room.
No, I don't remember any of that really. I think it's more when I was younger, it was more to do with things affecting me. That it was more, how do you say, like ego based. It's all about the I, and it was like the I gets harmed or think it gets harmed. It would, lash out, for example.
So it was more like you wanted to access things. You wanted this, you wanted that, you wanted to win, you wanted to get this, and when you didn't get what you wanted, then you got angry. And then you figured out that being angry might not be the most helpful response.
That's it. Because every time you get angry and you react, it's always wrong. Like I've never, like for me, you always regret it. Well, I regret it. I don't know if that's what most people do, but for me, it's like you get angry, you do something, and you're like, why did I do that? Because there's a lot of things. Like back then, I had like a really close friend too, and I got really angry one time and just kept hitting him, things like that, and then everything changed. So it's like when you're angry and you act, you're gonna do something wrong.
Did you lose this friend?
Still friends, but it wasn't close.
So that was really hitting a snag.
Yeah.
Was that maybe a point where you realized that, wow, this anger have consequences?
I mean, I think it took longer, many more years. But I think having, like being diagnosed with this condition at a young age, it was quite overwhelming.
So the anger we talk about now, was that before or after you started notice this, you know, the disease starting to...
After.
So it was the response to, you started to feel these things and you started to...
Yeah, as it progressed. Like, I wasn't back then in a wheelchair yet, but the symptoms, they appear before, you know, using a wheelchair. So
Okay.
already know at a young age there was something different.
Okay, so you could say that it started by, you got frustrated when these symptoms would come, and then you would be like angry.
Yeah, that's it.
So when did you first notice that something was happening?
Well, when I was younger, I would always walk on my tippy toes, and I didn't walk like other kids, and I couldn't run the same. I couldn't do this, and yeah, you just felt different, felt weaker.
Yeah, that must be very hard dealing with as a child, being slower than your mates.
Yeah, and I think what got to me was because people don't get it. You know, like they look at you and they're like, "Oh, why you walk like this, or you slow?" But they don't get it.
Or they think it's just something you do with purpose, and you can walk fast if you want to, you know.
Yeah, and the way they act is like,
come on, you can walk faster.
It was quite for one.
And then it got worse.
Yes.
So how long roughly were you tiptoeing for? Was that a couple of years or?
Probably a couple of years. I wouldn't remember, but yeah, because I started, you know, losing ability to play soccer, to get up the stairs, to, you know. So when I was younger, there was a lot of times where I would sit by myself and all the kids would go play. And I think that was something that was quite, like, you know, as a kid, you want to play, you know. When you're younger, it's always about playing. But then when you can't play, you just sit there and everyone's playing around, and, you know, it was quite lonely.
And watching other people play and you just sit there.
Yeah.
That would have been hard. Because it's not only about the not being able to play. I mean, if everyone would be sitting there and not being able to play, you all would be in the same boat, so it would be fine. But it's sort of the jealousy that comes of being like excluded. You're feeling excluded, and then they can play, but you cannot.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like, you know, I started getting into video games too.
Oh, so you could hang out with the nerdy kids.
I mean, back then, yeah. Nerdy kids, yeah.
Because they never play, they just sit on their own table and talk about, you know, nerdy stuff, you know.
Yeah, but I can remember playing with, like, I don't know if you remember the Game Boy Color. You know, the Game Boy Advance.
I remember the Game Boy that had no colors.
Oh, yeah, you're that old, are you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but yeah, I used to play with that, and it was good. But yeah, there was something missing because the kids would always, and you know, as a kid, you don't blame the kids, right? Because like every kid wants to play.
Yes.
And it's not their fault, you know. It's, you know, you can't just expect them to sit there with you and do nothing. Back then, yeah, that's a bit about.
So this time when you couldn't play, was that when you still could walk? But you were tiptoeing, or is this further on ahead?
I think it was a little bit further. But when I was tiptoeing, there was things that people played that I couldn't, you know?
And you would get tired.
Yes, that's the word tired.
So everyone else had a big battery, but you had like a tiny little battery and you went flat quickly. And then what I've heard, there is a point when you start falling over.
Yes.
So that would be about to start happening.
Yeah, the falling over was pretty. overwhelming as well. Because it's like having this condition. It's like it's not like you go into a car accident, right? And then you lose everything, right? This is more like a gradual loss. You know, like, oh, you can play soccer, and then, oh, not anymore, and then you lose that, and you know, oh, video games, and then you lose the ability to hold a controller, and then, you know, it's like a constant battle of losing, constantly losing things. You know, like, and I think that really bothered me back then, because it was like, I used to be able to do this, and now I can't, and you know.
That was before you got diagnosed.
No, this is after.
Okay, so I'm like, how did it feel when you did get the diagnosis? The Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Like, what do you feel inside you when you were told that basically you are screwed and you're gonna get worse? It's gradually gonna get worse.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, they didn't tell you?
I think they did, but I didn't listen, or I didn't understood.
You were like, it's not gonna happen to me.
I didn't understand it. Yeah, it was something like that. But my parents didn't really tell me, you know. They didn't say, oh, do you have this condition? This is your life expectancy. Like, they don't say anything. So it's like, it just happens. You know. And I remember one time, I think this is it's so sad. Like, one time, there was like this man, he was like, oh, I can heal. And he was like, he has you know those oils, the Chinese oils?
The essential oils.
Yeah. He was like rubbing it, and he was like saying something, and apparently he was like, yep, all treated. And then I went to school, and I told all my friends and the teacher as well. I'm like, this guy did some magic on me, and now I'm all good. And I was like jumping around and running and skipping, but it was all placebo, you know. And then eventually I couldn't do it anymore. So, and I think that's something that really got to me back then too.
Yeah, of course. That's the worst thing that can happen to you is someone gives you something and then they take it away.
Yeah.
That is. So at this point now, you're still sort of getting fatigued. You were falling over a couple of times, but then at some point you would have the transition.
Yes, one day I was, because when I was in school, I would arrive there and I could walk a little bit, but I had a wheelchair that they let me use every morning. Then I drive to class, I would park it outside the classroom, and then I would walk in and sit at my table. And one time I did that, but I just fell in front of the classroom. I didn't go in yet. And I just sat there and I started crying. And for the whole lesson, right? And then the teacher came out and she saw me and she's like, oh, next time just drive the wheelchair in. And that's when I started to use it all the time.
And how did that feel?
It was pretty upsetting. You know, but thinking back, it's like, yeah, it was quite, you have this thought that things will never be the same again. Like, you just know it, you know, like every things that happen as it progresses, you just gotta accept it.
And the first response to that was anger.
Yeah, anger.
So you were feeling like that it was unfair, that why did this happen to me? Why did they take this away? what have I done to deserve this?
Yeah, those thoughts that we all have during those times.
Yeah.
I think it's the idea of like, why even give me the experience of walking when you're gonna take it away?
Yeah.
Why not just not let me have it in the first place? That's what I was thinking back then. And then you start getting angry and hating the world and other people, and envy, jealousy, all those things appear.
How old roughly were you when you had to take that wheelchair to the classroom all the way?
It was in grade 5.
Grade 5. So you were about 10.
10, yeah.
How was the family coping with all this?
I don't know, it's a bit weird, like, it was just normal, like, I never thought of anything, really. I didn't see anything, it was like normal, but, as a kid you don't really think.
You don't really think, but you can feel if there is, if it's a good vibe or a bad vibe, you definitely feel. So obviously, by the sound of it, it sounded like the family situation was quite good.
Yeah, the vibes was good, but I don't know, it's just a show,
I mean, as a kid, you can tell. If it's just a show, you can tell because you can feel it. Like parents try to deceive their kids and pretend to be happy when they're not, but kids, they see right through it, and you can sense it. But obviously at that time there was the anger phase. What happened after that?
Oh, going back, and it's so deep, you're right, this is very, it's like you're trying to get to the past and the root and that.
Yeah, we're really going in, we're really digging into the, we usually don't do this, we usually not go in the back mirrors, we usually think, but sometimes going back in the past you can discover
things.
But it's quite threatening and intimidating going back in the past.
Yeah, so I think, what happens next? I mean, as I got older, I guess I started to develop some coping strategies, but before that, because for me, I used to think about myself a lot, right? Like, it was always what I wanted, and many people don't, no one's gonna believe me, because everyone's like, oh, but none, you're always, thinking, doing this and doing that for others, and it's like, well, I didn't do that when I was younger, and I think when I had a lot of like bad consequences from thinking about myself too much, and yeah, it was always about me, and then for some, eventually people's criticism made me sort of think about others more than myself sometimes. Which can be also a problem if the pendulum, if it swings to the left too far, then that's the same as going too left, too right,
That pendulum is heavy, and it's very easy that you're swinging from one
to the other.
And before we continue, I want to check that we're still recording, because this always happens when you make something really good, the camera turns itself off.
Alrighty.
So we are at the pendulum. You went from anger and selfishness. Basically, you were an angry narcissist.
Yeah, you could say that.
And then you turned into this thoughtful, really nice guy.
I mean, because I think like after all this, right, I had like my, before we get into that, let's talk about the, you know, moving forward, what happened, which when I got to high school, I had like a big spinal surgery, you know, and I think things happened during those times that really changed me. And I remember like my spinal cord had like a curvature. A curvature? It was curved.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to do a procedure where they would put like a steel rod and diffuse it with my spine, so it would keep my back up straight. And I think during that time there was a lot of physical pain. Like I remember waking up and your whole body is just in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting electrocuted, you know, like I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's like
Previous life.
previous life. Oh, that's what happened to
But
me.
it was quick though.
It was quick.
Yes.
That's good. But yeah, I woke up and it's like you're really thirsty, but they don't let you drink any water. Right? And if you were really, really thirsty, all they would do is wet your lips. That's all you get. And you're like super thirsty, super in pain. And like imagine putting a blanket on you and your whole pain is in shock. Like one touch of the toe, your whole body feels the pain. It's so hard to explain. And
it sounds like a panic attack, but a physical version of a panic attack when you're like...
Yeah, and I don't even know how to explain it. There's no words to explain the pain. It's, you have to experience it. It's, I mean, you don't have to experience it, but like to understand it, you gotta, and it's like, yeah, it's unbelievable.
In Las Vegas, they have these guys that let you kick them in the nuts as hard as you want to if you pay them $20.
$20.
Yeah, maybe it's $50 with inflation, but if we have any of you watching, you probably can relate to that pain.
Yeah, it's worse than that. Like, it was so bad that I remember one time, the physio at the hospital, they would help you get out because you have to get out of bed and sit up and things like that. You can't just get lying down. And one time she pulled me out and I was so much in pain that I bit her on the neck. Like, that is how crazy it was. She lifted my back up and I think it was like the hoist and everything. And the pain was so great that I just bit something.
And when you say something, you bit her?
Yeah.
Was there blood?
No.
So it was more of a gentle bite?
No, it was like...
Okay.
Which was, yeah.
And how old roughly were you?
Grade 8. Around grade 8, yeah. Yeah, it was so bad, and also this is gonna be pretty gross, because like I couldn't go to the toilet, and they had a tube through my nose down to my stomach, so they had to, you know, suck it out
from the nose?
Yeah, from the tube, and you see, it was really gross. And then afterwards, they brought the dinner, and they had soup, and it had the same color. And I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna. I'm not. I just can't. But yeah.
Oh, what a shit show.
You could say that.
We could have that as our new expression, you know, when shit hits the pump.
A shit show.
You know, it pumps the shit up. So you're full of pain.
Yep.
They're pumping shit out of your nose.
Yep.
What were you thinking?
You just focus on the pain. It was really hard to think about anything else.
And the pain was like on a scale from 0 to 100.
Probably 100. It's like one of those pains that's like super out there. Just your spinal cord is out really.
It's just screaming at you. And when that is happening, does the pain get numbed after a while? When it's like at max all the time that it's...
No, it doesn't get numb. This is that pain. Because usually it gets numb, right? And you get used to it.
Yes.
You don't get used to this.
Did they give you painkillers?
Yes. It doesn't really work for some reason. Like, it's not like a headache, right? You know, take Panadol and it's like, oh, it's gone.
I mean,
like,
it's not Panadol. This would have been like heavy stuff, the ones that makes you...
Yeah, but it's still painful. Like
So they give you that stuff, but it only took the edge off. There was still... It took it from 100 to 90 or something like that.
Yeah. And it's better than nothing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it was still quite painful.
And how long was this going on for?
Ooh, probably you could say the whole year.
You were in 100 pain for the whole year?
Not for the whole year. For the first 2 weeks. First 10 weeks. Yeah, 10 weeks. It got better, but it wasn't. So the other pain was, it would be pain all the time. But after like the few weeks passed, it was only pain if I moved. Or, you know, so if I'm sitting straight up like this, there would be no pain. But if I move or toilet or anything like that, you know, a lot of pain.
And that's why you don't like the bumps when we're driving in the van.
Yeah.
Because that movement is like anticipating pain.
Yeah, when we, you know, when we start charged, I was in the car and we're driving, right? Driving was really painful. Because you feel every bump. You know, it doesn't matter how small, it hurts. Like, you know, when you're driving the tires, you kind of feel it a bit. The tires driving, spinning.
Yes.
And little bumps. Every shake was painful.
It's like the doctor, you know, when they listen to your heart with that stethoscope. It's like putting that on the like the base of the car and just hearing like every single movement, but you felt it. Even like if you would run over, say, a tissue, and you could feel like little tiny things, or even little, the smallest bump, it would be like boom. Okay, so you were about 15 when this happened. You got discharged. You came back, and then pain got better.
Yeah.
Are we still in the angry phase now, or did something happen?
I think after the surgery, it was different. You know, you could say the surgery changed my life because of all the pain that you go through during that time. You know, for some reason it just changed the way I saw things. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's something about pain. You go through so much pain that it just shifts your focus, your perspective of life and everything. Because if you're all the way at the bottom, it's like, where do you go from here? You know, you can only go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what happened to me.
So all this pain changed you,
Mm.
and it's interesting. It's like I heard many people say that going through something traumatic has changed them for the better.
Mm.
And also, I know for a fact a lot of people that have been growing up having a great life, they seem to be quite unsatisfied, and they just bored, and they just, you know, they don't really do anything. But people that have been going through big challenges, people that have been going on what you've been going through, or people that's been through war or plagues or pandemics, come out on the other side appreciating things. It's why do you think pain does that?
Well, because to me, if there is no mud, there is no lotus. You know, so without the, you could say, suffering, you wouldn't be able to truly appreciate the other side of it, which is like happiness and joy. And I think that when you go through so much pain, and this is gonna sound a bit like spiritual and stuff, but it, in a way, it can break the outer shell of your perceived ego, right? Your I. It's like, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like it reaches a point where there's two ways of taking it. It's either the really dark way of, like, you know, like suicide, or it's either breaking through the shell of who you are. And it just, if you're already in so much pain, then what other pain can you experience? You know, it's like, I don't care anymore, sort of. And you just get freedom for some reason, to some level.
So the ego is like very, very protected in its little shell. And if you don't challenge the ego, you don't grow. But when it gets really, really challenged, and in your case, when you break the whole shell and you expose the ego, then the ego is like, I have no protection, I have to grow. And your ego just went through transformation, you can say.
Yeah, to some level, because obviously not 100%, because, you know.
I mean, this is theoretical, but it just seems like the more struggle a person have gone through, the more interesting and open-minded, and the more they tend to, the wiser they seem to be.
Yeah.
They think more about others, and it's not only I was wearing this shirt today. I made up my hair today. I did this. It's like the ego is changed.
Yeah, or it shifts its sort of focus. Because I think it's also just as how do I put this? There's also the sense of, when you're talking about focusing on others and thinking about others, it's good, but at the same time it could also be the ego as well. Like, there's this saying that goes like, if you try too hard to be nice, it becomes selfishness. You know, so like being nice because you want to get validated compared to being nice because you want others to experience happiness or joy are two different things.
Oh, so on one side you have people that are nice so they can be liked, so they can get validation. And then
Yeah.
on the other side you have people that honestly care about other people and they want those people to be happy and have a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
Or one is the selfish way of it actually feeds back to your ego of, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
You could say that.
And it's usually punishing yourself when your ego takes control and you become a people pleaser. People don't respect you and they tend to walk all over you. So having that need to be liked is not really good.
Yeah.
But that could take shapes of bullies as well. The bully and the nice guy is having the same problem. They both want validation. They both don't feel that they are good enough. So the bully pushes other people down to feel big. And the nice guy is trying to make people like them by being super nice so he can feel better, so he can get up.
Yeah.
But both are the same and they're both destructive, and it both has to do with your self-image. But I feel I'm steering away from.
Yeah.
So you
That
were.
was a bit off topic, wasn't it?
Yeah, off topic, but.
Off topic, guys.
Back to you, Nun. You were back from hospital. The pain sort of got a little bit lighter, and then you said that you sort of went through a bit of. So did the anger disappear at that point, or what happened? You tell me.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, you just don't get angry anymore. Like, there was no point to getting angry because I think I saw it a lot that when you're angry, you would do dumb things and you would regret. So every time I got angry, I would just catch myself getting angry, and I say to myself, "You're gonna regret this, even though you don't believe it right now, and you want to act. You will regret it." So, and I just don't do anything. And I kept doing that over and over and over, and I think eventually just trained myself to not even think about it. Yeah, I think letting go is the right word. When you're angry, just let it go. Just let it go. Just let things go. And by letting go, you will free yourself a lot of things, you know.
Do you need to sing that song?
Let it go.
To actually let it go? Can you let it go without it?
Without the song?
Or it's either like 100% pain or the song?
It's probably the song. No, I don't know. But that's what happened.
So you noticed a quite rapid change in your own sort of attitude, and instead of making yourself a victim, you sort of accepted this is my new reality. You sort of changed the baseline. The baseline before was like up there and you were down here and you wanted to get up there, but now you sort of just, okay, this is my baseline, like a total reset, and then you.
Yeah, you could say that, yeah. You know, you just live life through your own, what you have, you know. And but yeah, slowly and slowly, I saw many other people with disabilities doing amazing things, and that inspired me down the path of public speaking and counseling and making videos, you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm. But if we go back, we're going to get to that. But in my timeline, we're still at 15-year-old Nun, just experienced a new way of life, of, you know, less anger, accepting. What happened then? You were in a wheelchair? at that point?
Mm.
And you were getting into college or high school or whatever you call it.
Mm.
How was that time?
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool. I think it was better than the childhood of doing things.
And at that time, of course, you went to a school with other people with disabilities.
Oh yeah, that's.
What year was that? Because that would be a big difference.
I mean, in primary school, I knew them at primary school too. So we went to the same high school. You know, my other mates with the same condition, which was better, right? It's like when you have friends that know what you're going through, it makes you feel much better.
Mm.
You know, for whatever reason. But it's just like you know that there's others out there who are going through the same thing, and they understand.
And it feels better just knowing that other people are in the same boat. It's sort of like, I don't know why, but it feels so much better.
I think it might come back to like that loneliness, you know. How we're social and we like connection.
Jealousy maybe too.
Could be, yeah. But.
Or maybe even equality, as much as that word has been bashed. Like you're equal. Like when you're hanging out with people with the same, you're equal to each other. You have the same limitations.
Yeah, and I think it's also understanding. There's something about that. When people understand you and you understand them, it's something special about that.
I mean, yes, it's like finding someone that you click with and you're the same, like you understand each other. And I mean, that's how you get good friends, because you understand each other and you're similar. And if you are similar and have similar disabilities, then, you know, it's a jackpot.
Mm.
So at that point, 16, 17, 18, what was there any interesting developments?
I mean, in school, I didn't really work hard into grade 11 or 12. Like, I remember I had like a maths exam and I couldn't do it and I just gave up. You know, and I just couldn't do it. And I was quite negative too. Even though I went past the anger stage, it was quite negative. It was more like focusing on what I couldn't do and not caring about the exams. And I think what really helped me was the teachers were really good. You know, even though I didn't saw that at the time. And one time I was doing a maths exam and I couldn't do it, and one of the teachers was like, even if you like get it wrong, at least complete it. Even though it's wrong, just write something. You know, and I think that really inspired me. Even if you fail, just do it anyways. You know.
At least you participated in the race and you finished the race.
Yeah.
You get points for that. It's a lot more points than like quitting.
Yeah, and she was like, you know, getting half a point is still really good. You know, you may not get the right answer, but maybe you get like half a point for the effort or something. You know, and then you get another half a point, and together they make 1 point. You know, so yeah. And after that, I started working really hard. Like grade 11, grade 12, I was like, I get the assignment, I'll do straight away. On the day I got them. You know. And I became really, you know, motivated, disciplined, and would do the exam, would do the assignment straight away.
So academically, you were quite clever and gifted.
You could say that.
So when you had the motivation, you did well in school.
Yes. I don't think it was motivation. I think it was more discipline. You know, because like I get this, it's like you don't want to do it, but when you start, you can't stop.
Mm.
So it's always starting that's really hard. And back then, you know, like I would just do it. I didn't play games as much. Because I used to get addicted to Dota. You know, and back then, I played that a lot.
Yes.
And I couldn't study. And then I just stopped playing and I just started focusing on the studies.
And then you finished school?
Yeah, going to university.
But before that, did you go straight to university or did you spend some time relaxing?
I go straight to university.
And what did you study?
Bachelor's of Human Services. Majoring in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't going to do that course because I just wanted to use it as a bridging course to get to psychology. But then when I did that, I just fell in love with counseling because that's what I wanted to do. You know, to listen to others, help others through their stories, and it was quite life-changing because you learn a lot about yourself when you study that course.
Mm-hmm.
Counseling and things like that, because you have to, you know, you can't just go in and be overwhelmed with problems and try to help others. It's going to be pretty bad.
Yes.
Mm.
And at this point you got mixed with people without disabilities again that you were studying with, like your classmates. But there was no dramas.
No dramas.
So just a question of the past, were they mean to you when you were growing up? Because I would think that having a disability might make you a target.
I mean, I think we all got bullied.
I mean, we've all got bullied, yes.
But yeah, I would say so. I mean, I haven't thought about that. This is like diving into like past memories, you know. That's like all dusted and I don't know.
So obviously it's not a trigger for you. It's not like
yeah.
It doesn't seem like there was a big issue. So university, you did a couple of years.
I think 6 years, 5 years. It was meant to be like 3 years, but things don't go the way you planned.
And then you finished.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think at uni I should have like been more active in it, you know. I wasn't as active. I just go to class and go home. Didn't really participate in the uni life.
The other kids were playing, but you were not playing.
Yeah. Probably could have made more connections.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And then you started working or volunteering for Lifeline, right?
Oh yeah, I did that for a bit, yeah.
Tell me about that.
It was interesting.
I bet you it was.
I mean, it was a challenge as well because I couldn't hold the phone. Hold the phone or press the buttons on the computer. So I would have like a supervisor who's there, and they would be my arms and legs sort of. So I would talk to the people when if they ever needed anything, or on the computer, checking something, or getting like referrals to like other services. I would get help from the supervisor.
So you had your own secretary.
Yeah,
like
you could say that.
Like the boss, you know.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do that.
Yeah.
So what happened at Lifeline? The telephone rings and someone is suicidal, or what?
Oh, it could be anything. It could be suicidal. It could be.
What would be the most common sort of, or just like, tell me about your first day or whatever. How like you got some interesting phone calls.
I mean, a lot of the calls relate. A lot of the problem is like relationship stuff. Mostly relationships that I remember. I don't really remember specifics.
But it was like relationships, maybe domestic violence.
Yeah.
Drugs, maybe.
Drugs, yeah. But some of the things are like just everyday breakups or domestic violence stuff, or it could be related to children, violence as well. Could be disability, could be like getting fired from work, or could be things like someone missing their partner who passed away. And there's a lot of casuals. Is that the right word? People would call often. So because I think they have to, otherwise, like the doctor prescribes it, suggests it to them, and they just call up and say hello and how are you and things like that, and that's it. Sometimes.
So loneliness, having someone to listen to you.
Yeah.
What's your most like vivid memory? Did you remember some call that was quite upsetting for you?
I know it's a few. I can't go too much into detail, but I can be a bit vague. Like there was like a deep call that I was having, and the person was suicidal. But then the phone cut off, like disconnected, and it was like, oh no. You kind of like panic a bit, because something just disconnects. Maybe bad reception or something, and that was quite. But you learn not to think about it too much.
So you didn't call back?
Well, when things like that happen, they talk about like you debrief, and do you need to call get someone to the place, like the police or something, or
telling the phone company, you can disconnect this phone because
yeah.
Anyways.
But I think it wasn't, because you do like a risk thing, right? It's like, the one who's talking, what level and things like that.
So if it's really serious, you can call out the authorities to go to their place.
Yeah, and things like that. Check on them and stuff.
Because you get the GPS location, so you can send that to either the police or the ambulance.
Yeah, but you don't get like everything. It's more like they're in Brisbane, That's not like they're at this address or something.
But if something really
you can,
happening, you can escalate it, and you can tell maybe someone higher up in the police force or whatever that this is happening, this is the telephone number, and then they would trace it and send out units.
Yeah.
Like if it would be,
It's been so long, I don't really remember.
if someone would be like domestic violence happening right there or whatever, you know, you could probably escalate it to the police and then they would take over. And then you finished with that, and I know you did you went in to do speeches. Was that after you did
Yeah, that was after everything.
So after that, did you have like a quiet time where you were relaxing at home, putting the brakes on, so to speak, or did you go straight to do Toastmasters?
I'll put a break a bit. I think I did it after, like maybe a year, 2 years after, as I was already in uni. So yeah.
Because that can be a big problem. I've seen that happen a few times where you're really busy, you're studying, you have purpose, you have goals, everything is laid out for you, and then boom, they just set you free into life, and you're sitting in your room and you're like, now what? Now what do I do? Do I watch movies all the time? Do I play games? Do I get a job? What am I supposed to do? Everyone has told me what to do.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
no one tells you.
You're free range now. You can go, flex your wings. But
it's like, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't know.
They don't really prepare you for life. It's just, okay, off you go. So what happened? How did that affect you, going from being so super busy to chilling at home?
I think I got a little bit more lazy, honestly. Because like back in school, the pressure was what made me work really hard. There's no pressure. In uni, it's like, when's the assignment? 3 months away. It's like, oh. Whereas uni, it's like, school was like a few weeks or something.
And they would hit you with a stick, you know. They would hit it in the face, like, you have to do this.
Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Why not? You know? And you don't get one assignment, you get like one for each subject, right? At school, and it's like the deadline's all the same, whereas in uni, it's like, 3 months and 2 months, and okay.
Did you struggle when you finished school of like, what should I do now? Like, was there a mid-20s crisis or whatever?
I never had that. You know, I just always had things to do.
Because that can be quite overwhelming when you're let out in the world and you're like, what should I do now?
Yeah, it can be.
And we're getting quite, now I feel we're getting into the present time.
And the present, everybody already knows.
Not everyone necessarily.
Not everyone.
So present time, from my point of view, was 2015.
Okay.
Which was when I met you. And I remember the first shift I did with you were taking you to Toastmaster, I think.
Yeah. Was it a contest or was it a normal?
It was a contest. But I think you were not speaking. I think you were taking your timing or reviewing or something like that. Getting tired just thinking about it. Toastmasters can be like that sometimes with their reviews. It's like 8 people are reviewing his speech. It's like, oh yeah, the speech was good. It was so many. And when you've been sitting there for 5-6 hours at Toastmaster, your brain goes like overcooked spaghetti.
Yeah, it was. The contest days are pretty much 4 days.
But so you somehow wanted to challenge yourself. And how did you come up with public speaking?
I know we went to SeaWorld, right? At Southport?
Yeah, but that was way after you decided that you wanted to get into doing speeches and stuff? Because that was the contest where you almost got sent to the US. But before that, like when you first started getting into Toastmasters, what got you into that?
I just wanted to do like motivational speaking. Because in high school I did like, for one of the assignments, it was like a reflection in year 12. And I did that and I think I got A+ or something. And it's pretty much the story that I tell when I'm doing my speech. And that's basically my assignment that I'm telling people when I share my speech. And when I did it, because it was a speech as well, I did it and everyone was crying when I did the speech, because also that's not my full speech. There's another aspect to the speech that I think many people don't know. Only my school friends know. You know, because the other aspects includes my surgery, and I also include music in the background when I do my speech.
Wow, you've made people cry even
Yeah.
with those extras off the table.
Yeah.
So when you go all in with sad
Yeah, I haven't
music,
been all in.
wow,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and everyone's like crying and doing a speech in front of all the year 12s. And then I think that inspired me to, I could go to other schools and you know, add the music in and do the speech. But yeah, adding the music is really powerful.
Oh yeah.
I try not to do it, but I should. Hey, I should make one day. Do the whole speech
with the music.
With the music.
Yeah, hell yeah. Why not? Even if you edit the music in on the video.
Oh yeah, that's true. I could do that.
And then we are pretty much up to where we are right now.
Staying home all day. Yeah. Isolation.
Yeah. And isolation hasn't been an issue for you?
There's so many things to do, you know.
And you seem to always be quite happy at home, like you enjoy hanging out here and you're feeling quite good here. While other people might be like, I want to go out, I want to do stuff all the time, but you seem to be quite content.
Yeah, I think that's the right word to say.
Has it felt better being at home, knowing other people are at home too?
Oh, I didn't really think about that. So I'm getting distracted by the crow outside.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What's it doing?
What do you think it's doing? It's freaking hungry and looking for worms.
They eat worms?
Yes. And snails and other things.
Anyways, back to what we're saying. What were we saying?
Oh, if it feels better knowing other people are in the same boat.
Oh, right.
With isolation.
I don't know. I feel like it's the same.
Can you hear that? No. The voice saying that the video is finished.
You want to end it?
I think we need to end it, of course.
I mean, like, you want to end it.
Is there anything you want to add?
Thank you, Michael, for...
I mean, if there's anything...
deep questions.
If there's anything you want to say at the end, feel free to do so, but I don't have any more questions, so I let you finish this.
Okay. Well, guys, that's a bit about my past history. yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me and maybe we can do Q&As with Michael.
And if you have anything other to share, like if you've had a similar experience or if something really serious happened that you want to share, you know, we can always listen. You can always be on the show if there's anything you think is helpful. Because we don't talk about these things enough.
Yeah, true.
We just pretend that everything is fine.
Yeah, we're always focused on the good stuff.
And they even invented a word for it. It's called toxic positivity. It's people that just pretends that, you know, every day is a blessing, every day is great, everything is great, but you're just pretending that everything is great. Everything is actually not great.
Yeah.
And then you get jealous because, you know, everything should be great.
Definitely.
So
yeah, I appreciate you helping with interviewing me with this video.
And thank you for sharing all that personal stuff. There was some really difficult question that I've been thinking of, but I've never had the opportunity to actually ask.
Alright, thank you, Michael. And guys, thanks for watching. And as always, never give up.
That's right.
Wow, Michael.
And if you do give up, we put you in the hot pot.